let's talk about the slope. Okay, so when we drew the line, when you draw the lines, okay, you draw the lines, you can have things that are going to look like this. You're going to have things that look like this. Right? You're going to have things that look like this. You have all kinds of lines, right? Okay. The slope of the line is defined as the difference in x over, or the difference in y over the difference in x. Okay. So if I have 2 points, let's say I have a point, one point is 1 and 2. The other point is, I don't know, 4 and 10. Let's make it 9. Like this. I have 2 points, point 1, point 2. So we'll call this x1, y1. We'll call this x2, y2. We'll call this point A, point B. So I'm trying to find the slope between point A and point B. Okay. So the difference in x is going to be what? What is the difference in x here? What is the x for this guy, for B? Wouldn't it be 5? Right, that would be the x part of point B. What is the x part of point A? Be 1, right? 1, okay. So the difference in x's is 5 minus 1. What's the difference in y? You start with the here, and you're going to subtract the y1. The difference is in y's, right? Okay. So I'm going to get 8 over 4, which is 2. I have a slope of 2. Okay. This is also called, the difference in x's we call the run, and we call the difference in y's the rise. Okay. Let's talk about why we call it the run, rise and the run. Okay, so let's go back to my point. These 2 points that I have 1 and 2. Then I have 5 and 10. This guy was 1 and 2. Okay. So the line looks like this. Okay. If I want to find this length, how would I find this length? Wouldn't this be the 5 minus the 1, right? So this is basically is the difference in x's, which is basically the run. Okay, whereas the rise is the difference in y's, right? The difference in y. So this would be the difference in y, also being not the run, the rise, the rise. Okay, so this was the slope, as this was the slope. The slope is the rise over the run or run over the rise. It is the rise over the run, the rise over the run, right? So if I had the same amount of run, if I had less rise than this, it would be somewhere over here, right? So the slope would go from here to here. The steeper the angle, the larger the slope. Can you see that? Right? Because with the same run, I'd have a greater rise, right? That would be a greater slope. Okay. Sometimes, if my second point was that, I would have 5 and negative 10 down here. So I'm going to have a slope, it looks like this. Okay. So my slope, my difference in the rise would be -10, -10 minus 2. And I'd have the same run though, right? 5, 2, 1. Right, so I'm going to get -12 on top, 4 on the bottom, -3. So when I am actually pointing downwards, it means I have a negative slope. Does that make sense? Because instead of rising, I actually went down, right? So the rise is negative, which makes the slope negative, because the run is still positive, correct? Okay, all right. So now we know the difference between a positive slope and negative slope. Okay. If I had a straight line like this, I could do the run. What is my rise going to be? Is there any rise if I had a straight line? No, right? Because why this guy and this guy are going to be the same, which means that my rise is 0. And I have 0 divided by a run, so I'll have a 0 slope. So if I have a line like this, I have a 0 slope. It's horizontal. Okay. Vertically, this is what it's called the undefined slope, because I have a lot of run, but 0, a lot of rise, but 0 run. I have 0 run. So I'm trying to divide a large number by 0, and you are not allowed to divide anything by 0, correct? That is why it's called the undefined. Okay, let's go to page 421. On page 421, in the top half, there are these 4 types of slopes that we just talked about. Okay, so comparing the slopes, a positive slope when the line rises. When the line goes down, it was a negative slope we talked about because the rise is negative. And when it's horizontal, there's a 0 slope. When it's straight up and down, when it's vertical, it is an undefined slope. Okay. Right. So that really is the nut of what we're trying to learn today. It's fairly simple, but this stuff is very important. Okay. Going forward in your math career, you have to know this rock solid. You have to be able to do this. You have to be able to calculate the slope. Look at a slope, identify if it's positive or negative, or it's 0, undefined. Okay. Let's go through some of the examples and see if we can actually do the examples. Example 1. Example 1, I have a wakeboard ramp that has a rise of 6 with a run of 10. Okay. So again, the slope was rise over run or run over rise? Rise over run. Rise is 6, rose 6, run is 10, slope is 0.6. Okay, or 3 over 5, how you want to call it. Example number 2, find the slope of the line shown. So the line has 1, 2, and 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. Example number 2. 1, 2, 4, 5, about here. Okay. So let's just do it by the, let's look at the graphically. Let's get it graphically. So this is 1, 2, this is 4, 5. So what's my run here? What's my run? Run is the difference in what? X's or Y?
Y.
No, the run is a difference in X, right? There's a difference in X, there's a difference in Y. So difference in X, so I go from 4 to 1, so my difference is 3, correct? Right? And then my rise is a difference in Y. I have 5 here and I have 2 down here. So it's going to be 3 also. So my slope is 1. Okay. Let's go to B. In B, I'm given the 2 points are 0, 1, and 3, negative 3. Zero, 1, 3, negative 3. So I can go ahead and go x1, y1, x2, y2. So my slope is the run, x2 minus x1, 3 minus 0. y2 minus y1. Okay. So you have to make sure that you keep the order straight. Okay, you have to always take this guy, subtract from this guy. If you do that, you have to go from here, subtract that. Okay. It's going to be minus 4 over 3. So your answer is minus 4 over 3. So that'll be a negative slope, which means that it is pointing down or pointing up. Down, right? It's a negative slope, so you're going to be going down the ramp, right? Okay, it's a negative slope. If you look at the graph on page 421 on the bottom right-hand side, you can see that it is a slope that's going down. You can see it has a negative slope. Flip the page, example number 3. Find the slope of 3a. Let's do 3a. What are my 2 points? 1, 3, 4, 3. 1, 3, 4, 3. So my run is what? For this one, what's my run? The difference in x, x2 minus x1, so it's 4 minus 1. My rise is 3 minus 3, 0 over 3, which is 0. Okay. And B, we have 2, 3, and 2, negative 1. 2, 3, 2, negative 1. So my rise is going to be negative 1 minus 3. My run is going to be 2 minus 2. Negative 4 on top. 0 on bottom. I am not allowed to divide by 0. So this would be an undefined slope. Straight up and down vertical. Okay. All right, last one, example number 4. The graph shows the distance traveled by a wakeboarder as a function of time. Slope of the line gives the wakeboarder's speed, which is the rate of change in distance traveled with respect to time. Find the wakeboarder's speed. Okay, so the wakeboard. So I have 2 points. Again, I'm going to have the 2 points. First point is 252. Second point is 182. Okay. So again, the rise is the difference in the y's. So the difference in the y's would be this guy minus this guy, right? So it's 182 minus 52 over the run is difference in the x's, 7 minus 2. Top I get 130, bottom I get 5. Per second. Okay. Well, that's it. We're done. We are done. Go ahead and